Anyone who claims that everything here is completely true and finally settled is overstating the matter. Likewise, anyone who insists that everything is false is equally mistaken. History, especially oral history, exists in layers. And those layers must be examined with care, balance, and respect. The commonly narrated kingship accounts of Akpaden are, in several respects, wrongly stated. According to ancestral history, Akpaden summoned his 5 sons and instructed each of them to choose a role essential for the survival, security, and governance of the land. These roles were not arbitrary. They were foundational responsibilities that shaped lineage duties for generations. Atong Akpan chose the role of security. In modern terms, this responsibility aligns with what is today recognized as Ekpo institutions, sometimes broadly referred to as masquerade systems. The name Itafia became widely known as a nickname tied to this family heritage. The name Iang, meaning I will drag my birthright, further reinforces the ancestral claim and insistence on rightful inheritance. For this reason, Ufok Efiat, also known as Ufok Akpan, modernly called Atong Ikim, is the rightful custodian of the kingship stool. The Atong Ikanem lineage, on the other hand, represents Ufok Udo. Historically, Ufok Akpan held the kingship until significant changes occurred a few years after the arrival of the white men. Records indicate that Europeans first entered what is now Nigeria through Cross River State and reached Akpaden around the year 1808. By that time, Ufok Akpan could no longer effectively combine both kingship and security responsibilities. Most of his brothers had become deeply engaged in palm fruit harvesting and other economic activities. Many of them were concentrated in what is now Eastern Obolo, where they lived primarily as fishermen and farmers and were among the earliest settlers to discover and cultivate that land. It is deeply painful that Akpaden history rarely acknowledges the lands yielded to Eastern Obolo, despite their clear ancestral connections to Akpaden. Returning to the course of events, the closest available brother, Ufok Udo, modernly known as Ufok Ikanem, was entrusted with managing the kingship role. This arrangement became especially pronounced around the period close to the Civil War era. During the war, many families fled. However, Ufok Udom, Eden Usung, and others stood their ground, defending the territorial boundaries of Akpaden. Ufok Udom was known as one of the greatest hunters and most feared kings in Ikpo Ibom. Yet paradoxically, one of the most vulnerable. His vulnerability stemmed from family ties, settlement disputes, and persistent internal challenges. Tragically, the people later relinquished the stream and surrounding swampy areas to Ikim village. The full history of that decision remains buried and will be uncovered when these discussions resume within this group. Fear of neighboring communities, combined with the failure to respect Ufok Akpan, led to repeated intimidation and a gradual loss of ancestral confidence. After the death of the king from Ufok Udo, and less than a decade later, the death of the king of Akpaden from Atong Ujan, popularly known as Uwaradia Iang, it became increasingly evident that no one can truly ascend the kingship of the land unless the stool is returned to its original owners. Notably, Uwaradia Iang's roots can be traced to Atong Akpan. This explains why his reign lasted longer than those from Atong Ikanem. The unavoidable conclusion is this: the kingship stool must return to the lineage of Akpaden's firstborn son, whose mother, according to historical manuals and encyclopedic records, hailed from Ikot Akpaden, a community deeply, historically, and inseparably tied to the very origins of Akpaden. History remembers. And history will speak when we are ready to listen.